they all feel overwhelmingly electric. The Kia Niro, it's been one of our favourite family cars for some time now, not least because it offered buyers the power of choice. There was the hybrid, for those wanting something as conventional and as kind of close to their old petrol and diesel car as possible. There was the plug-in hybrid for those with home charging, wanting to dip their toe into the world of electrification. And then there was the all-electric Niro, an efficient, smooth, easy to drive EV. But now there's a new one, same ingredients, sharp new suit, but is it as good? Let's find out.
Those same ingredients mean yes, as before, you can have your Niro with either hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or pure electric power. The stats for all three haven't changed dramatically, efficiency is still excellent, and the range, almost 300 miles for the EV, is still competitive.
But if you were to place this new car alongside the old one, you could be forgiven for thinking that they aren't quite as closely rated as we're making them out to be. The old one, it was a bit of a blob, wasn't it? Designed in a hurry without any real flair or standout features. But this new one, well, just look at it. It's got cool colours, a nice LED lighting signature, sharp creases, contrasting side blades on the top spec models. Dare I say it, this is now a car that you could potentially buy with your heart as well as your head. And it's the same story in here. We love the simplicity of the old Niro's cabin. The infotainment system was really easy to use. It had all the features that you wanted, but well, it's a completely new, updated system in here. It's completely different. You get this slick single panel running almost 2/3 of the dash. Now it's worth noting though that if you go for one of the entry-level cars, you get a smaller 8-inch central screen, and it's just not as well hidden or integrated. You don't get this kind of single glass panel, so worth stepping up if you can. Otherwise though, the Niro feels pretty premium in here. You've got digital dials, you've got a lovely leather wrapped steering wheel. The way these panels on the door kind of meet the dashboard, it just feels really kind of like designed with thought, if you like. It's got a lot in common with Kia's flagship EV6 actually, and that includes this touch sensitive panel down here for both the navigation and the media controls as well as the aircon as well. But we're not going to moan too much. We would of course like physical dials, but you do get a twisty button for the temperature, and let's be honest, that's the thing that you're going to use most when you're on the move. So other manufacturers, take note. If you want to do the touch sensitive thing, do it like this. Now what else can I mention? We've got some gloss black plastic down here, looks great at the moment. Maybe not so much after Kia's 7-year warranty period, but that's by the by. You've got wireless phone charging on mid-spec models and above. Really intuitive gear selector, that's really simple to use. Now one thing that I'm not so sure about is the noise this thing makes when the engine isn't running, when you're kind of manoeuvring around town. It's louder than it needs to be. And actually, if you ask me, it's not going to be your neighbours being woken up by the sound of a V8. It's the noise that this thing makes at 5 o'clock in the morning.
What you get on your Niro won't differ hugely depending on whether you go for the hybrid, like this, the plug-in hybrid, or the electric car. As we said, it's worth upgrading from the entry-level 2 spec, if only for the smarter infotainment system. It just lifts the entire cabin. But even if you don't, you'll get Apple and Android smartphone connectivity, a reversing camera, and adaptive cruise control. 3 adds 18-inch wheels, a part cloth, part vegan leather interior, that bigger screen, plus heated everything and privacy glass. Top spec 4 cars like ours add a head-up display, a sunroof, and a power tailgate. Full specs, as always, can be found at carbuyer.co.uk.
You might think of Kia Niro because of its compact size and the kind of cars it goes up against. I'm thinking the Renault Captur, the Ford Puma, Toyota Yaris Cross, those kind of cars, that it might not be able to do the family stuff quite as well as maybe cars in the class above. But take a seat back here and you'll be pleasantly surprised. I've got acres of room, and that's because this car is around 65 millimeters longer than the car it replaces, which means that, yeah, loads of knee room, loads of headroom, a nice kind of reclined seating position. It's just a really spacious car back here. One thing worth looking at and trying before you buy is, in the electric version, the battery is situated under the floor, which means the floor is a little bit higher than it is in this hybrid version, which means that your rear seat passengers may be sitting a little bit higher than they might like, with their knees a bit higher than they might hope. Otherwise, you've got some vents down here, you've got a plug down there to plug things in and charge laptops and the like. You've got some nets here on the back of the seats, as well as some USB ports there. That's really handy. But yeah, just overall, nice and spacious. Now remember those cars that I just mentioned? The Niro beats them for boot space as well. The Renault Captur, with its seats slid all the way back, that is a handy feature I will admit, has 379 litres of boot space. This car, the hybrid Niro, 451 litres, so it's competitive and then some. Now while the Niro EV, the electric version, isn't quite as spacious in the rear, it beats this car for boot space, 475 litres.
While visually the three Niros might look similar, they're going to appeal to quite different people. And it goes back to what we said at the start. The hybrid, the cheapest of the three, will most probably, for most people, be the easiest car to live with, and the one that feels most like a petrol or diesel model, albeit with the ability to run around on electric power for short spurts, returning up to 59.8 miles per gallon on the combined cycle. And then there's the plug-in hybrid. It costs around £5,000 more, but gets an 11.1 kilowatt-hour battery. It will do up to 40 miles on electric power, 10 miles more than before, and if you run it like a part-time EV, you could dramatically slash your bills, whether you're a company car driver or a private buyer. And finally, the electric version, the Niro EV. With a 64.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack and small efficiency improvements over its predecessor, it'll do, officially, 285 miles on a charge. These things are mightily efficient too, just like before.
While each car will appeal to a different kind of buyer, they all feel, well, pretty similar to drive, and that's because they all feel overwhelmingly electric. Now that might sound obvious for the EV, for the pure electric version. It's plenty quick enough, it's got loads of power, 0 to 62 takes 7.8 seconds, and there's loads of torque for quick overtaking. The plug-in hybrid blends petrol and electric, but it feels more electric than it doesn't, if that makes sense. The motor in that car is twice as powerful, pretty much twice as powerful as the one in this car, so it can feel pretty quick, especially off the line. But even this hybrid version is no slouch. 0 to 62 miles an hour in 10.8 seconds might not sound that fast, but again, that electric motor really benefits pickup, so it feels sprightly around town. It does try to prioritise electric power though, so when you're driving around town or you're stuck in traffic, the engine will cut out for really quiet, smooth progress. Accelerate harder or drive a little further and of course the petrol engine will kick in, but still things remain smooth and quiet all the way up to motorway speeds. Spend a lot of time at 70 miles an hour and the engine will take over almost completely. It's not a sports car, but nor does it try to be. The steering is accurate, it's precise, so it's easy to thread the Niro down, well, some pretty challenging roads. It feels more like a hatchback with a slightly raised seating position than it does a crossover or a 4x4.
Right then, dealmakers and deal breakers? No matter which version you go for, you're getting an efficient, cheap to run family car. No Niro will break the bank, and every model, of course, gets a 7-year, 100,000 mile warranty. The Niro has grown too, so it's more practical than ever. If you're considering a bigger SUV, try one of these for size. You might not find the need to step up. We'd go for a mid-spec car for the bigger screen, but every version gets an infotainment system that's responsive and easy to use. But it's not all sunshine and roses. Okay, most of it is, but the difference between a basic hybrid and the higher spec plug-in or electric versions can be quite significant. You'll pay $5,000 more for the PHEV and another $3,000 for the electric version. You'll save on running costs, but still.
I know I said it's not all sunshine and roses, but, well, it very nearly is with this thing. The new Niro is an incredibly talented all-rounder. It takes everything we loved about the old one and builds on it with more flair and more style and makes that a car that you actually want to be seen driving. It's a great family car, and at least for the time being, as people transition through petrol to electric, there's something to be said for that whole power is choice motto. Ostensibly, you can have two cars that look really similar, but two cars that suit very different people. And in our book, that makes it a winner.
If you like this video, then why not watch our review of the Toyota Yaris Cross or our Family Cars playlist. Thanks for watching.